Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om. Allah
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and today we're speaking with Jessiee Kaur Singh, a peace and rights activist. Thanks for coming in, Jessiee.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Norm.
Thank you, Jessiee. You're involved in quite a number of organisations. Can you give me a bit of an idea? I think of Green Faith, and I think of the Tribal Society, is it?
Yes, International
Tribal Society. And these, why are you in those groups? The peace and the rights, is that what's the driver there?
Yes, I'm just living myself as a Sikh. I'm a Sikh by religion, and as a Sikh, it's about finding being in the image of God, you know, and the understanding of the Creator. I mean, the God has become quite a word which is so misunderstood, or people have different concepts of God.
Yes.
So I'm just living myself as a Sikh, a bridge builder. That's who I am. It's unity within diversity, like you started, you know.
Yes.
And I feel very blessed that I'm able to do all that. So I'm in Melbourne now, and the first organisation that I was a founder and am being a leader of is Common, the Centre of Melbourne Multi-Faith and Others Network. And we had been going for a few years. We were actually the ones who bidded for the Parliament of World Religions to come here. Again, getting people together, you know, building bridges between each other.
Yes.
And then I realised that we were a small group and we didn't have enough energy to put towards women and their issues. So we started the WIN Foundation, which is the Women Interfaith Network Foundation, and which I lead too. And then the third one is Green Faith, and they're all interrelated to that wholeness, you know.
Yes.
Green Faith is looking about sustainability and how we can achieve that oneness with the creation of God.
Now this all ties back to your Sikhism.
Yeah.
Can we just trace your history on that? You were born where?
I was born in Malaysia. My heritage is Punjabi, which is now divided into Pakistan and India. My great-grandparents come from there. I was born in Malaysia. I went to a Methodist school. So I've had Christian upbringing, I would say, you know, education. And I come from a Muslim country, which is, as you know, Malaysia has become more Muslim now than it used to be then. It was a very multi-faith society. Lived among the Chinese. Yeah, I speak a few languages. And then once I finished schooling, I worked for the police department. And you mentioned the rights activists. I've always wanted to. I've always found myself a peaceful warrior. And that's what Sikhism is about, you know, the whole concept of being a warrior, at the same time being realistic, a peaceful warrior, not a holy warrior, as you can say, you know, not a warrior. You can't take arms and not know peace. If you're not one with the creation, then you can be a very harmful warrior. So we call it that Sant Sipahi, to have saintliness and the warriorship at the same time.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity of going to England to do nursing, and I graduated from UK. I was there for 10 years. I finished off as a director of one of the London private hospitals before we got invited to come to Australia. And we've been in Australia for the last over 30 years now.
Yeah. And in the UK, what was the Sikh activity there? Were you part of a Gurdwara there?
Not so. I was part of the Sikh community wherever you go. The religious communities are the one I've always been attracted to. Let it be the churches and the different reverends and pastors that I have a lot of dialogue with, and then the Sikh. But not as active as since we've been in Australia. It was interesting when we first arrived in Australia, and one of the reasons why we didn't want to come to Australia to start with, but this person who had invited us to come, and we were saying, oh, why would we want to come to a white-only policy country, you know? At that time, and he says, no, you know, you have to come because you are the ones who will come and help change that policy.
Yes.
And I thought that's a nice challenge, being a rights activist. So we took that challenge, and we don't regret it at all. And we've been working in the multicultural, multi-faith area from the time we arrived, starting out with our own faith. There was no Gurdwara, and we came to South Australia, Adelaide, which is the city of churches, and both my husband Jessiee Singh played a big role in setting up the Sikh Society of South Australia. Yeah. And being a Sikh, it's besides yourself, your own community, is again, like I've mentioned earlier, building that relationship with everybody around, because you can't survive or you can't live with just you alone. No. That ghetto mentality is not what we promote. No. To be part of society, be part. And one of the things that we did do was actually study Aboriginal studies, because I was intrigued that this land, we're all migrants, as right. The history of this, but the First Nations people were the people that I felt needed a lot of support and bridging builds with. So I went to university to study Pitjantjatjara language, and my husband, who was an accountant, gave up to study Aboriginal studies, and so we've been working very closely with the Aboriginal community since then.
So this Aboriginality, as you say, we're all migrants, and that actually includes the Aboriginals.
Yes, yes.
So is that a common ground?
Yes, it is. I mean, who possess what? We are all on a journey as human beings. That I can speak on the concept of Sikhism. We're all here on a journey, and we don't own anything.
No.
We are, and for the rent that we're paying for being here is the care that we give to our surrounding.
Yes.
And living in oneness. The vision mission of a being is to become one with the Creator, and to become one with the Creator, you have to become one with the creation, and that includes the plants, the trees, the birds, the flowers, and everybody that exists there. And as for the Aboriginal brothers and sisters, I think historically we've always been moving to find...
Can I just interrupt you there a little bit?
Sure.
Because we have to go to a break. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Jessiee Kaur Singh, a peace activist. We'd left off and we were talking about Aboriginals and the fact that we're all actually migrants here, and you were talking about rental, the rental that we pay. Could you talk more about that in the context of how Sikhs see that? Yes.
Like I said, as a human being, the goal of a being is to become one with the creation. And the fact that we are on a journey, passing through this, we believe in Patala Laka Gasa Gas, which talks of universe within universe. So life passes through this time, and when we are on this earth, we have to become one with that earth. And the rent we pay is God. What is different between a human being and an animal is that we've been given that intelligence. We are like caretakers. We have to say we've got that intelligence that the Creator has given us for us to become caretakers. Unfortunately, human beings, we've become so greedy and wanting to, instead of taking, it's instead of becoming caretakers, we take, and we've, as we know, we are in a bit of a strife with the creation. So yes, that as a Sikh, it's acknowledging that the whole cosmos is like a tree. Everything is connected, and we talk of the day, night, and in whose bosom we're sitting. You know, we talk of Mother Earth. The earth is the mother, and the day and night is the father. You know, and then the water is the father. So the elements that are given to us, they nurture us.
Yes.
And it is about us becoming one with the elements and becoming the caretakers. So it's very important for us to recognize that while we're here and we have that intelligence to not become users, and yet enjoy the fruits of the labor of caring.
Yes.
Because the earth will provide for our needs, you know.
So that actually establishes quite a firm basis to speak with Aborigines at their own spiritual level of awareness.
Yes.
How has that worked? Have Sikhs been active in the interface with Aborigines?
Yes, I mean we have been. We've been here now over 33 years, and when we came to Australia, there was only 3-4 other Sikhs that were there. And one of the first things that I wanted to learn, and we wanted to learn as a family, was to learn the history of this land, you know, and the language of the land. While we all speak English language, there's also language of the land, as we know, and make an effort out there. And we found that a lot of commonalities in like this with everybody else, you know, in our approach of understanding of spirit and the care of land, and that's what we were talking about earlier on. And and I found that there was so much of hurt that the Aboriginal people had expressed themselves that I felt as a nurturer, as a nurse that I've always been, you know, I wanted to help nurture, and I've been doing so since then. And empowering our Aboriginal brothers and sisters to become strong in themselves, you know, not allow anybody else to control.
Yes.
You know, and that's what's happening. The whole history of Australia, I mean, now 30 over years afterwards, you find that we're not just 3 Sikhs or 4 Sikhs now. We've got a huge number of Sikhs. I mean, you see and so for the other nationalities. So we're not white anymore. You know, we've become the multicultural, multi-faith society that we are, and it's such a blessing because we're heading towards that promised land that I, you know, often hear my Christian brothers and sisters talk, and I think, wow, we are in the promised land here.
Yes.
We've been given that opportunity to do so much, and yet if each one of us come with skills, and if we can use our skills to work for the higher good of all creation, we can achieve a lot. And my dear brother Norman, you know that we've been working together for the last nearly 10 years, I think now.
Yes.
With Common, the Centre of Melbourne Multi-Faith and Others Network, and we have been able to do so many programs which really gives empowerment and an ability to live diversity in harmony, you know.
Correct.
Isn't that?
Yes,
So-
yes. You actually jolted me before, Jessiee, when you reminded me of the White Australia policy, which is so long ago that most of us have forgotten, fortunately. But you arrived whilst that was still humming along.
It was quite strong. I mean,
Yes.
in my time here, I have experienced that white policy arrogance from some of my colleagues who have said that, as a Sikh, I couldn't represent this country because we are about 18 in our ratio, and not allowed to hold certain places that I could have been doing. I could have done so much more, I felt, you know, but been halted on my way by some of these older white policy holders.
Yes.
But slowly, you know, everybody is beginning to learn that we can't survive without one another, and it's slowly beginning to break down.
Yes.
And for me, we've been a minority everywhere we have lived, so we're quite used to the knocks. But
Yes.
it's that hard knocks that also makes us very resilient people. And as Sikhs, it was so difficult when my little daughter went to school, and she was the first brown child, and the kids in the school weren't very nice to her, But I went up to the school and said, look, spoke to the teacher and changed that whole story, that it's so beautiful to be brown, because then I didn't need to sit under the sun and burn my skin to become the princess that everybody wants to be, you see.
One of the things that you do when you sit in the sun is you use up time, and we've used up time.
Yes.
So we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and today we're speaking with Jessiee Kaur Singh, a peace activist. Jessiee, we were talking about the potential influence of the White Australia policy, but I was reminded of the fact that Sikhism itself arose out of conflict and defending a principle.
Yes.
Could you give us a bit more about that?
Yeah, Sikhism is about 550, 560 years old now, maybe 570 years old. It came out when the Mughal emperors, the Islamic control in Asia wide, and there was the Mughal emperors were trying to make everybody become Muslims. And then rose this warrior-like beings, the Sikhs, who got up and said, but no, hold on a minute, we need freedom of practice, freedom of our rights to be. So we were born of the fact that we did not allow, we gave our lives to stop conversion, forced conversion on the Hindu. In fact, if not for the Sikhs, the whole of India, Pakistan, going down to Burma and all, would have become a totally Muslim nations. We were burnt alive. Gurus had gone through a lot of torture to stop that. But I'm very grateful to my elders and my ancestors for doing that, because today we are harmoniously living without having killed off Hinduism, Buddhism and other religions that were already there, and the indigenous people,
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the history of Sikhs. And even now we still suffer so much from prejudices, because we have the mistaken identities.
Yes.
With as a Sikh, as you can see, the way I dress and the way I present myself, many people mistake us to be Muslims, and I always say, yeah, Muslims are my brothers and sisters, but we are Sikhs, distinct from Islam. Many of our men have actually been killed. I don't know if you know that quite a few in America had been shot down.
Yes.
Because they were mistaken to become Bin Laden followers,
Yes.
So yeah, we suffer, and our children go through a lot of persecution in schools because they wear long hair and they wear little turbans. Yeah, we human beings, we just, when are we going to change? I don't know. I suppose that's the pursuit of being a human being and
Yes.
Becoming one.
Yes, but I think you summed up the Sikh philosophy when you said that you were happy that the other religions had survived and prospered alongside Sikhism. Because it's essentially
a very important part of us. We do not say that as a Sikh, I have the right to the Creator or God, if you want to say, or Allah. But I have a formula. The Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scriptures, is our holy scriptures, which is our Guru, and that's a manual. That's a manual given to us for our formula of existence, and.
Yes.
In this, and just like the Quran or the Bible is to the Christians, and yeah, we don't even like anybody converting to the other. I mean, we can't say, oh, you can't come into our house, but yeah, we'd like everybody to really enjoy their homes.
Yes.
Whichever home they're born in, and we do anything in our power, and that's been my mission as a being. I'm very passionate about. Christianity. I went to a Christian school. I went to a Methodist school and loved Jesus, and always wanted people. I couldn't understand why people run away from Jesus, and convert to Buddhism or any other religion when Jesus was an amazing role model. It's like getting out of one box to go into another. And as a Sikh, I'm very protective of Jesus. I'm very protective of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was an amazing role model too. And I'm very protective, and I don't like anybody taking any of my children or any of the Sikhs to be converted. So, yeah.
I think your Gurdwaras are pretty special too, aren't they, in the sense that anybody can come in and be fed.
Yeah. Well, we pride on the fact that each Gurdwara, we are supposed to have 4 doors, and if you see the Golden Temple, we have 4 doors from the 4 directions, and the idea is anybody can come in. They don't have to convert to become, you don't have to, it's all sacred space. We consider every space, as sacred, so there's no special space. Of course, we have rules. There's do's and don'ts. Like for instance, if you came to Gurdwara, we'd like you to be wearing clean clothes and be clean. And then when you walk in there, take off your shoes, because that's the rules. We really respect the land there, and then cover your head as you enter. And food, we serve. Food is so much part of our prayer. If they said on an empty stomach you can't really pray. And sharing of food is so important. In fact, you can walk into a Gurdwara, Blackburn, for instance, which is not far from here. We have food 24/7, literally, and even housing. And I think that was the idea of even the missionaries, the different, what do you call them? Is it the Christian church centers or different centers that they're meant to be housing people in, and so we try and live it. In fact, I'll share this with you. Not long ago, I had gone to Rome. When we had in France, there was the persecution of not wearing the hijab or so our Sikh children were beginning to suffer out of that because of the law. The Sikh boys couldn't wear their turban to go to school, and for us, that's the most degrading thing you can do to a Sikh, is not allow that person to wear their turban, And so I had actually taken a trip as a rights activist and as part of United Sikhs, a world organization, gone to the Vatican to ask for support on that issue. And I had met with the Pope, but then I of course there was many people there, so I couldn't have a big conversation, and he had arranged that I meet with the cardinals, and I had a conversation with the reverends. There was a couple of people that had met me, and one of the other issues was poverty, and I talked to them about how we should all get
poverty of time.
Poverty of time.
Now, I feel quite comfortable in cutting you off there,
that's all right.
because you're coming back next week to speak again. Is that right?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You've been watching Harmony University, and as Jessiee just implied then, we'll be back next week, and we'll be discussing some more fascinating issues in relation to Sikhism and some of Jessie's activism.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allah.